Board games, it's what we're talking about. Board games, I'm not gonna shout. And after a few weeks of chaos, other people are joining me again like a boss. Over there, we've got sweet Jess, and Jess is here to impress. There, we've got Alan Paull, who's going to reveal it all, by which I mean revealing knowledge, of course. We've got Michael. What kind of things will this sweet boy tell? We'll talk about board games and freebies. It's what we're talking about. Board games and freebies. We're not gonna shout. Hello and good morning, everyone. And hello, start player Robert. It is good. And Robert's asking, why don't you have theme music for your stream?
Sorry, questions come later.
Music.
Yeah, okay, let's have that into questionably quick questions. I agree with that. Okay. I am Bez. If you want to take a bath, you are entitled to. I'm not forcing anyone to take a bath. It's just, there for the opportunity if you want to talk, if you want to take a bath. And we are blethering about board games and no covers anymore at Alan's place. So we've noticed a wee difference.
No more secrets.
Yeah, I got bored with covering up the absolute crappy dross behind me. So there you go. Yes, I have got a printer and some boxes and some packing stuff, but they're decorated with Christmas tinsel, so it's absolutely fine.
I was going to say it's very festive with tinsel, so therefore no problems.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's all looking good, and I don't think that's, oh my gosh, there is indeed a chest of drawers. What?
Yeah,
a horror.
What?
Inappropriate.
Is that a faux pas, is it? I didn't realise.
I'm being completely in jest, of course, but here we're not just talking about what is happening behind Alan or what is going on with Michael's stream, although we will get to that later, especially in the questionably quick questions. But we are here to discuss freebies. And what is a freebie? And why do we give things away? And how can we have a laugh? And yeah, we'll also chat about all sorts of things. So to discuss freebies with us, we have, as I mentioned before, Jessica Hancock, Alan Paull, and Michael. So,
I have been on this stream a few times,
I was kind of trying to get my hands. It's hard to get it to bend quite that far. So then it was like, okay, I'm giving up. I'm turning my hands the other way. It was more to do with my hands turning. It wasn't.
I like to imagine she just forgot your name and was like trying to quickly read it in the corner. Was like, and yeah, Michael. That's who this person is.
And I feel like this is the levels of excitement. Hey, Michael! Hi, Alan! Oh my gosh! Hey, Jess.
I know. I feel like I'm in an episode of Mean Girls or something. Getting flashbacks to school.
But it's lovely to see you, Xates, who is appreciating Michael's Ludo Cherry shirt.
Oh, yes.
Let's get to a wee bit of action going on there.
Here we go. It is ever so slightly too small because, coronavirus and all that.
Because 2020, yeah.
I might have put on
so your site has changed marginally over the past year.
Marginally is doing a lot of work there, Bess. It's doing a significant amount of lifting. No, it's I have gotten a little bit rounder, more orb-like, but that is entirely fine. But in the new year, when I get my spine fixed, I'll be able to exercise and stuff again. So I will be a svelte boy.
Nice. That will be great. When you get yourself fixed, we'll be fab. Yes.
Many people have wanted Michael to be fixed for a very long time, but there it goes.
Yep, indeed, we will see when and if that ever happens. Now, starting with Michael, because we're already focusing on your Ludo Cherry shirts, can you maybe introduce yourself a wee bit?
Okay. Hello, I'm Michael Fox. He,
Michael J.
they
Fox.
pronoun. Michael J. Fox, actually, yeah. So yeah, that's cool. I work at Hub Games. I'm a game designer. I'm the community manager over at Hub, and I also have my own little Twitch channel, which is, move my head the right way, twitch.tv/idlemichael, where we do game design stuff and playing around and goofy things like that. I drink a lot of tea and I play a lot of games, and I got 2 cats. And they might arrive at some point. They are annoyed at me at the minute.
There, Kira and Didi.
Yeah, Kira and Didi. They are good official human children. So yeah, they're cool. And yeah, so I'm just trying to see what it has at the bottom of there as well. It says Michael plays overly hard video games. True. Playing a lot of Hades at the moment, and it's very, very good. And Hollow Knight, and it's very good. And yeah, if you want to find me, at Idle Michael, easy, anywhere.
Okay, and Jess, what are you all about?
What am I all about? So yeah, my name's Jess. I live in the UK and I work in the tabletop games industry. I do a variety of things. So I work for Meatmax Games as their community manager, because we're just starting to go into kind of games for the general public opposed to the corporate market. I was just talking about a bit. I also work for Long Pack Games, who's a board game manufacturer. So I chat to people about making their games. So the ideas they have in their brain become lumps of plastic and wood on a table, which is fun. And I also work for EM Publishing, who are an indie RPG company in the UK. And we have the What's Old is New system and the license for World of 2000 AD Judge Dredd. And on a personal note, I have a dog, and that's probably the most interesting thing about me.
Very nice. And there's all sorts of companies that you've becoming like a mainstay freelancer. So
yes, pretty much what I do, yeah.
And we've got Alan Paull over to my left.
And I'm on, yes, okay, left, right. I don't know what that means.
Over to
Anyway,
this side.
I work for Surprise Stare Games. Oh, if I can get this right. Oh, Surprise Stare Games. There we go. Surprise Stare logo. I'm a game designer and have this little small independent game publishing company. And I've been designing games for a long time. I've been doing a lot of war games recently and Euro games and card games too. I do lots of stuff, basically. Some of which some people think is interesting and some of which isn't. But, you know, we get there.
And just in case someone, I mean, probably everyone watching this live knows who I am because you've just tuned into my Twitch channel. But just in case this gets linked and you don't know who I am, I'm Bez. I'm a board game designer, although I've not really done much of that the past year, since pretty much April. Although I've kind of designed a few things for on the stream, but it doesn't like feel genuine for whatever reason, because it's nothing that's anyway. I guess in the past year I've done board game design, board game development, rules writing. I've done some work for King's College London. That was the most exciting thing I was working on, but that got cancelled due to COVID. That was sad. And yeah, I'm best known for Yogi, and I am now streaming a lot. So I'm basically streaming every day. And Ross says I need to stream for another 100 days to be the most regular person in board game streaming, but I don't know why I don't already have that title. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I am already. But I want to say quick hello to Alex. It's lovely to see you as always, and Rob Harper in the comments. So things I design on stream aren't genuine. Who is this Bez that claims stuff by Michael Allen and Jess is their stream? Asks Xate. Oh, you guys, this is like the running gag that's already gotten old, and I'm just going to shake my head and pretend that I'm not going to comment on it, but in doing so, clearly commenting on it. Let's.
I don't have my own stream at all. I'm streamless.
I mean, you did some pretty good streams over Essen. I listened to the audio things as well, because it's actually good enough to listen to the bits that I caught the first time, the second time, and the bits that I missed, get to hear them.
Thank you very much. Yes, I mean, eventually I might get back to it, but I just can't organise myself well enough. I don't know how you guys do it.
We only have so many things that we can do, and I don't know about Michael, but for me, okay, let's talk about recent highlights, living life and seeing the sights, recent highlights, playing games and other delights, recent highlights. And talking about recent highlights, let me answer Alan's question about streaming, because yeah, I've been doing lots of streaming recently, like every day. I'm not doing streaming tonight, that's Tuesday. I'm not sure whether I'll pick that up next week or not. I'll check in with other people, see what they think. If there's not that much interest, then why bother? And use that time to be with my family a wee bit, because I've been up here for a few weeks and I'm going to stay here until maybe for a few more weeks. And yeah, it's important to share that time. I think that for that streaming, for me, it's just a way to connect with people outside of your actual household. And yesterday, for example, reading one of the fighting fantasy books and sharing that time with Matthew Dunstan, with Xate, with Alex, with everyone who came across. And I'm sorry for all the people whose names I'm forgetting, but it's just a thing to do. Do you know what I mean? It's just a thing to, yeah. And so that's why I do it.
I understand that. Yeah, that's perfectly reasonable. Yeah.
Other things.
It takes organisation, you see. I haven't got much of at the moment.
Or it just takes bloody mindedness.
Well, perhaps that. Maybe I should be a bit more bloody minded. Yeah.
You do many other things.
Yeah.
And other highlights, we did play a bit of Rummy last night. There might be, new rules that my mum brought in that, okay, well, my sibling and I didn't know about any of these rules before, despite having played many games before. But hey, this is the way that it is with traditional games. At times it feels like a game of Mao. But there you go. How about you, Michael? Going round, what are some of your recent highlights?
Let's think. I mean, it does say food eaten there, and it's still... obviously it sort of like ties into the fact that my shirt won't fit anymore. But I made an absolutely filthy mac and cheese last night, and it was very, very good. So basically there are so many leftovers of like different types of cheese in this house post-Christmas. There was an awful lot of chopping up. There was an awful lot of grating. There was a making of roux, and holy Lord, oh my, pancetta, Parma ham, 5 different types of cheeses, and there's still half of it downstairs. And I was half considering having it for breakfast, to be honest. But then I kind of slept a little bit later than I wanted to. So a sandwich took place instead. And yeah, because I oven bake it as well in like a giant cast iron pan. And oh my God, it was indeed a recent highlight.
That does sound amazing, to be fair. Food has also been a very important time in my life at the moment. There is so much cheese at this time of year. Been having like cheese platters most days. It's been wonderful. My shirt probably also won't fit at the end of this week. My recent highlights have been actually just having a bit of time off work, because I work as a freelancer. It's really hard sometimes to say no to work, because if you don't work as a freelancer, you don't get paid at all. But this last week I have cut down, and I'm just doing one of my jobs part-time. So 2 of my jobs I've taken a week's holiday off, and it's been really nice. You got time to like actually play games and stuff, which is a bit of a novelty. So yeah, taking a little bit of time off is my main highlight.
Well, I'm sorry to break the cheese mold, as it were, but neither Charlie and I can eat cheese anymore. Unfortunately, it doesn't agree with us, which is a terrible, terrible tragedy, because I actually love cheese. So occasionally I might break the rules occasionally, but this season I haven't had any cheese at all. But then again, we made up for it by having loads and loads and loads of meat. So yeah, we had the big turkey, as if we had everybody coming round to us. We had the big turkey anyway, so we shared that out with our daughters, and actually we exchanged food with three households. And so what other recent highlights in terms of food apart from the turkey and the beef, because you've got to have the turkey and the beef. Pork pie for breakfast is a Christmas tradition. Well, it's with me anyway. So we have a really good local farm shop called Johnson's of Oldhurst. I got one of those massive £1 pork pies and had that for breakfast. Well, actually, technically 2 breakfasts, because it splits over 2 if you're very greedy. Yeah, that's the foodie highlights, really. It's been great. Nearly missed it. The best thing about turkeys is the turkey soup, which we had yesterday evening, and that was absolutely delicious. Turkey soup.
Oh man, that's making me fancy. We've still got a wee bit of turkey, I believe. Might have a sandwich. Lots of love to Xate, whose drugs seem to not be working after day 4. And yep, just lots of positive energy, sending it your way. And on the lighter note, we've got start player Robert, who says, finding out that leftover cranberry sauce works really well added to porridge, as it's essentially just jam. That sounds pretty good. And it's a far better use of cranberry sauce than just leaving it to linger for years and then it gets moldy and then you need to chuck it out. Which is, I'm not going to point any fingers. Rob agrees on the soup. Had no turkey in the Harper household, so can't do that there. But I'm sure there's at least something brilliant and yeah, Xate did manage to play 30 minutes of the crew with Robin's Ken, but at this point, everyone assumes that Xate plays the crew daily. No, we need confirmation. We need confirmation that you are not, AWOL from the crew. I mean, this is still something to appreciate, even if you do it daily, even if it's just something to say, hey, you know what? I brushed my teeth yesterday, and that's the best thing that's happened all day. At least we can take pride in whatever it is. And playing the crew, that sounds like lots of fun.
And true. It's not an assumption if it is actually true that, say, is literally playing the crew daily with like 4 different groups.
Well, not every day. I mean, it's just Xate has a lot of groups playing the crew, and I have the crew on the way.
We have we play the crew on Board Game Arena. It's really good. I really like the crew. I would play the crew. In fact, there's 4 of us. Look, there's 4 of us here.
I'm not playing it again. No,
not right now. And
no,
okay.
No,
maybe some love hearts in the chat for Xate in support of overcoming migraines. Lots of love. No, Alex, don't do that when I've got guests on. No, Alex, you don't get to do that. I'll refund your points at some point, but no doing of chaotic shenanigans today. That is not what today is all about.
Actually, don't refund the points and just sort of like have it as a teaching moment. It's like, shouldn't have spent them.
Ban Alex for trying to do such a terrible thing, for trying to make me do fun things. In all seriousness, let's move on to brilliant thing. What's a little thing which is brilliant? And we are going to discuss the thing that we're going to be discussing, which is, of course, freebies. Now, why are freebies brilliant?
I think freebies are brilliant because it makes you try things you might not try. Because if something's free, if you have to pay some money for something, you're not sure you like it, you might be like, oh, well, I don't want to risk it. But if it's free, you go, oh, why not? I'll give it a go. And then you might find something you really enjoyed that you never thought of. So that's why I think freebies are brilliant.
Why are freebies brilliant? Because it's nice getting something. Like, even if it's something, as Jess said, even if it's something that you are potentially not going to be totally into, it's nice just sort of like the slight dopamine hit of, somebody thought that I was worth having this thing. You know, it's like a little present, it's a little gift. And that's a nice thing. Make people feel happy. Alan, what about you?
Yeah. I think we're in an era of instant gratification, being cynical about the whole thing, and it's a way of giving people that little bit of pleasure for nothing, which is great. I like to think also it sucks people into your orbit of other things, you know. So it's purely altruistic on behalf of the people who are doing the freebies. There's no ulterior motive behind any of it. We're all doing it just because we're really nice people. That's what we do.
I mean, we'll get into that, of course, and you could say that nothing in this world is completely altruistic, because even if you're, you know, giving something completely anonymously to someone, you're doing it for the joy of seeing them receive it, even if it's nothing to do with you, even if it's like, okay, I'm going to give some sum of money to this charity. I'm not going to tell anyone that I did it. It's going to be an anonymous donation. Maybe you're still doing it for that warm, fuzzy feeling that you get in your heart. But I think that freebies, when receiving, I think it's, even though it's broken, we do like stuff, and having free stuff is nice. And it can be like, oh, memories. And if it's, then we don't need to choose, but then it's the question of, is anything really free? I mean, my gosh, these are big questions. I dislike doing nice things for people. Is that truly altruistic? Says Alex. So let's come back to it, because of course this is the main topic, but let's move on for a moment and have a brief section of the questionably quick questions. Well, what time is it, and where exactly are you? I believe we are all somewhere in the UK, and it is 10:22, but I am in Glasgow. Where are you, Jess?
It is 10:22, and I am in Eastleigh, down south, which is near Bournemouth.
Down south.
Yeah.
At least we said properly. Down south, like Danny Dyer. I am in beautiful, and it is actually lovely out there, beautiful Belfast today, because that's where I live. I don't know why I said today, because I'm always here and have been for the last 10 months solid.
What a 2020 mood. I'm always here.
I'm always here. But yeah, sky's blue, sun's out, absolutely cracking.
I'm sitting in our upstairs home office space in Warboys, Huntingdonshire. It's a bit grey out there actually today. But it's not misty. I can see the water tower. It's about 700 meters away, and I can see it, so that's good. I think it's a fairly nice day. It's only about 2 or 3 degrees, but it's good. Yeah.
I didn't realise we were doing weather updates. I have an exciting weather update from where I am. It was snowing this morning, which was very exciting for me, because it doesn't snow down here because we're near the coast. But it didn't settle and it stopped now. So it was a brief moment of excitement, but came and went quickly like Santa in the night. But it was here.
We had floods. We've had a lot of water, a hell of a lot of water. Most of the walks that we do locally are underwater at the moment, so that's a bit of it. We can walk around the village, but that's about it. We can swim. We can do lots of swimming around here.
That does sound problematic. I mean, it's beautiful here after a rainy weekend and a grey Monday. It's actually quite bright. I would say there's about 15% cloud coverage, maybe 20%. A lot of blue in the sky, a lot of sun, despite the stereotype of what Scotland might be like. And, I am going to go to the post office. So we've got a few questions from the chat, and I will get to as many of these as we get to in the next 6 minutes. So Rob asks, would you rather have a free bee or pay for a butterfly? I mean, I don't know if I'm on board with owning little creatures and their lives. I'm not sure if that's cool. I feel like I would actually... I would want them to... So maybe if the bee itself is actually free, if I take it as in not free for me, but the bee is free, then I would go for the free bee. How about you, Jess?
I think bees are great. They, I've heard they're having a rough time and we need them to exist on the planet. So I think I'll take the bee and release it back into the wild so it can do the things that bees do very well and make the ecosystem work. I'm not entirely sure like how and why, but smarter people than me have said they're important, so I believe them. Save the bees.
Is that like save the cheerleader?
Yeah.
Save the bee, save the world, yeah. It's exactly like that.
Oh, is it time for the heroes renaissance? Maybe. I don't know. Maybe I might have to buck the trend, pay some money, get the butterfly, and then unleash it on a sort of, Liam Neeson style rampage of getting its freedom back. It's the only way.
Yeah, I'm with Michael. I think if somebody's selling butterflies, oh, that's really bad. Yeah, we should buy them out. Buy them out and free the butterflies. Yeah.
Or buying them out. That's just encouraging them to capture more butterflies.
Steal the butterflies. That's you see, Michael's on something. Yep. Steal the butterflies. Let them. Yeah.
It sounds like I have some, with this group, problematic artwork in my parents' house. My granddad lived in Malaysia for a while and he went butterfly catching, and like all good people he did butterfly pins of them. So there is a picture frame we have with butterflies kind of pinned in. And in hindsight, it's probably quite problematic, but it was a different time.
I mean, it's
1940s in Malaysia, it was different.
A question for Michael, back from the start of the stream. Michael, why don't you have theme music?
All right. So there's this thing in wrestling, which is like the idea of the gimmick. Yeah. So you don't just steal somebody else's gimmick. And if I were to do my own theme music, I feel like I would be treading on your toes, Bez. That is your thing. You have this beautifully created, well, perfectly scored intro that you do every time. And
oh, you're giving me too much credit.
But yeah, that's your thing. Now, I agree. I probably should have some sort of like background music or whatever going on. But yeah, no, I ain't going to do a live improv every time I do a new stream. That is Bez's thing. I ain't going to tread on no toes.
I ain't going to tread on no toes. So, treaders.
Apparently, I should definitely do a walkout at the start of my streams, and my gimmick should involve ladders and chairs coming into chat. So, yeah, there you go. I would love to do a walkout.
You could kind of raise your shirts and say, "It is the one that's to be idle, the one who does not like work. It is idle, Michael."
Yeah, but okay, I'm not idle. I'm not like lazy.
Why is it in your name?
I used to work with a band called Idlewild, so long time ago, and I just like it as a prefix, and it just sounds nice. It flows off the tongue. Idle Michael.
Okay, let me quickly ask everyone, what was the last gift you were given? Jess.
Oh, sorry. Well, it's been Christmas, so there have been a few gifts been given. One that I used just this morning, I got a milk kettle, which sounds as middle class as I describe. They're great. So anyone that doesn't know, it's basically a little kettle that you put milk in and it heats it up and makes it into like latte or cappuccino or froths it up like that. So you can have a fancy coffee from home, which is, great, because I've been missing going out to coffee shops because, like I say, I used to own a coffee shop. So fancy coffees and pretentious things like that are things that I like. So that was a good present I got from Christmas from my mum.
They are freaking amazing.
They are great. They bring joy to my life.
I have never heard of such a thing, but that sounds lovely for making hot chocolates in a milk-based hot chocolate.
Yes, perfect for that as well. And it does it for like one portion, so it's great if you're just
What's
in
if you
lockdown.
want 3 portions?
Well, then you've got to run it a few times.
Okay,
Doesn't take long,
not
does it, Jess?
current.
No, it doesn't take long.
No, it takes like seconds, depending on how much you want it.
wow.
Really, it's like less than a minute. So it's quick. It's like a kettle. It's
Boom.
I haven't got one of those.
Have you got anything
really
in the past year?
Well, presents. I don't know, because I don't really do, because like I said, I don't really do Christmas, so I don't really get Christmas presents. I didn't get anything for my birthday this year because this is turning into the sad and tragic ballad of Michael.
I feel like I want to give you a hug, Michael.
Nobody loves Michael. Nobody gives Michael presents. Cripes, I have no idea. I mean, okay, so my mum, this is sort of a weird one. My mum sent us like €100 for like the season because, like, I don't know, maybe to assuage guilt or something. And that's what we bought the milk kettle with. And I got a copy of Jaipur. I mean, I guess that's kind of a present, but I decided to buy that for myself. So I don't know. That is, yeah. We'll say that. We'll say that.
And you've got presents in the fridge that's on its way, apparently.
Well, if we are ever allowed intercontinental shipping again, yeah, that'd be nice. Hug Games, the spin-off label.
I know. I thought that was really cute. I love that.
For Christmas, we do lists. We exchange lists so that you always know you're going to get stuff that you want, which is quite a good policy, because then it's only people who aren't really close to you who send you stuff which you don't want. Well, but then the thought's there. But so I got a copy of Europe Divided, which is
just
quite
one
a nice 2-player board game. Yeah, that was it, really.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I thought you were going to go through that and the book and everything.
Oh no, well, no, I don't want to go through everything. After all, I mean that would be a bit mad. Well, I mean, I did get this as well, which is what everybody needs: a copy of Clausewitz in the original German, full unabridged copy, so that you can read it in the original German. Yes, so you know, that's my pretentious gift, Dave.
And
I haven't started it yet, by the way.
I was thinking back about this question after I wrote it down because I knew that I'd have to answer it. And I've got this habit of asking questions, and I don't tend to think of my own answer before I write them. Of course not. I mean, that would be boring. So I realized that for a while, the last thing that I could remember was a birthday present, which was an amazing present, which was quite a beefy present, which was this phone or my birthday from Chris and McCall. But then I remembered that occasionally I do get bought, small little things when a housemate goes to, a local shop or goes shopping. And so I was bought some hair clips, which, to be honest, I don't use hair clips. I prefer to use bobbles generally. And I don't know, they kind of feel like they're clamping down on your hair. Gets a bit tight. I like to keep it a bit more loose and don't have anywhere to kind of pin it up or anything. So I'm not going anywhere. But that was the last present I got, was actually some hair clips. So I appreciate all the other questionably quick questions, but we do have a lot to get through. So I'm going to move on. But first of all, let me ask the final question that I would like to ask is, why did you agree to come on this show and talk about this particular thing?
I because you asked me, and I can't say no to
it.
I know. No, well, because I'm a big part of my Christmas has been for Meet Max has been giving away this game we have, Reindeer Games, which if you'd like a free copy of it, you can go to meetsmaxgames.com/reindeer games and get yourself a free copy of it. So giving away games has been kind of on my mind because we've been giving it away as a Christmas present. And lots of people have been asking why. And some people on the internet have been saying, is this a scam? And I'm like, no, just like have a reindeer game. It's Christmas. But yeah, so I think it's interesting because some people are very confused as to why people would give a game away for free. So,
well, Alan,
yeah, I thought it was an interesting topic. We've done a lot of freebies in the past for surprise from Surprise Stare, and I've never really thought hard about why folks do this kind of thing. I thought it might be interesting to have a quick discussion with other people who are in the same kind of boat, really. Yeah,
I think my reasoning was, well, same as Jess. A, Bez, you asked us, so who am I to say no? And B, it is kind of sort of, it is nice to think about something you don't think about a lot of the time. You know, the consideration, the why behind the action. So hey, who knows? We might uncover something today. We might discover something about ourselves.
Yeah, all the appearance fees you need to pay every time you come on my show. That's why Xates can't afford to buy your games, Michael. But
20p.
In all seriousness, yeah, it was basically inspired by Jess's reindeer games, but I've done a wee bit of this in the past. I've got some copies of Innerbind Jr. that back in the day, I think it was the end of 2016, was the last time that I was officially allowed to sell them. And after that, I'm not meant to print anymore for obvious reasons, because, you know, Gigamic have the license to Innerbind Yogi as it's become. And then it was like, okay, I'm going to give lots of these away. And that's something I've got experience with. We'll talk about our experiences in a wee bit. But yeah, it just seemed like an interesting topic. And why do these things? And I like talking about things that people might not normally talk about. And what I'm really hearing from Michael and Jess is that I need to ask you just to be on show more regularly.
Well, apparently we can't say no. So if you ask, apparently we'll say yes. We've got nothing better to do.
Well, I'm a regular apparently.
Yeah,
so, You know, I can't actually say no at all.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like I'm doing anything else like running a 2-day game jam today or anything, but
no.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, you can always fit it in, Michael. You know, somewhere.
Squeeze it in.
So let's talk about like how this topic relates to us a wee bit. What was the last thing that you've given away professionally, and like that you can remember? And what other things have you maybe given away in the past? Let's just keep going round and maybe chuck in one or two things each. Jess.
Sure. Well, the main thing, I'm going to say it again, Reindeer Games. So by Meet Max Games. So for those of you that don't know, it is a free digital board game that was designed for families that are apart for Christmas. They can play a game together completely remotely. It's a silly, light-hearted game where you're racing reindeer. You make them run faster by feeding them carrots. You slow them down by feeding them puddings. And it's just designed to be light and accessible party game. So the idea is that gamers whose family are like, oh, I don't normally play games, those kind of people, you can rope them in and get them to spend time together. Because I think we've all had those awkward Zoom calls in 2020 where we're just staring at each other and it's like, what have you been up to? And you're like, nothing, I've been in my house. So the idea is you have an activity or something to do online and something to talk about. So when you're hanging out together online, you've got something to do and it's a bit less awkward. So Reindeer Games is the thing that we made at Meet Max. We normally do kind of corporate events and we sell large group games to corporate clients. And we had a big version of Reindeer Games that we did for lots of companies' Christmas parties. And then we had it and we thought in November, why don't we do a version of this that people can run at home for themselves? And we're thinking about what do we charge for it, and then we said, well, why don't you just give it away for free, because 2020 has been a bit of a bad year and why not? Because we could. And so that's what we did. But can Rudolph play? No. He's actually not in the game. The theme of the game is that Rudolph is going on holiday on annual leave, and the other reindeer are having a race to decide who will lead Santa's sleigh this Christmas.
I think he might have trouble getting his hooves around the components as well. I think it's. I wouldn't trust reindeers with an actual game. Yeah, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. The last thing that we gave away surprise there was, well, we made the Ming Voyages and the March of Progress, our two newest Pocket Campaigns games. We made them freely available on a board game on which one? On Tabletopia. God, not board game, really. On Tabletopia for Spiel Digital back in eons ago, back in October. And it's still available. They're still both available there. So if you want to go and play the Ming Voyages or the March of Progress, you can do on Tabletopia. And we did that, well, largely because we would like people to experience the game so that they might actually buy it. So yes, they're free. It's freely available to play online. But if you want to get a physical copy, yeah, please do buy one. It's available in English, French, German, and Spanish.
Shameless. Well done.
Shameless plug.
I guess from a professional point of view, the last thing that we did was we did a social media thing on Twitter, on Facebook, and Instagram. So we basically gave away a slew of all of the games that we currently got on our docket. So everything from Untold Adventures Away all the way through to Prism Arena. So yeah, we gave away a full set on each of the three different platforms that we sort of, that you can find us as a company hanging out on, and it was really interesting, sort of seeing the amount of uptake on the different platforms, because of certain things people have to do a little bit more, like a retweet or a just a mention or stuff like that, and. Yeah, it was definitely an interesting thing from a publicity and commercializing point of view. But it was also really nice when people, when we chose the winners and people actually got in touch with us, and it's just like, you mean I actually won something? It's just like, yeah. Here's a whole box of stuff. Have fun. It was nice. Bez, we can't hear you. You're on silent. There you go.
Sorry, unprofessionalism. Being able to just post lots of stuff and talking a wee bit about how it went. So I did an Instagram competition for reaching 1,024 followers, which was quite an exciting number for me. So that's, one to the...
It's one gig followers.
Anyway, yeah, it's quite a bit. Anyway, so I said, okay, anyone who takes a picture of themselves doing these things, and if you can't do these things, then just draw a stick figure doing it. Because I basically asked people to touch, I think it was their nose, ear, chin, and knee, and also have a card on their head. And if they couldn't do that, you don't have to use one hand to do it, so it should be possible. You could get someone else to take the photo, but of course it's more interesting if you do all with one hand. But then only one person entered, which was a bit of a disappointment. But true to my word, I was like, yeah, well, what games have you got of mine? And they had 70% of my stuff. So I was like, you know what? I'll give you the remaining stuff. So they got Dyson Dink, yeah, that's what it's called, Yogi and Yogi Guru, because they only had the original versions, and Kitty Cataclysm. And so, yeah, which actually is half my stuff, but hey ho. Anyway, so Jess, anything else? And
Freebies wise, that's the big main thing I can think of at the moment. Other things we did when I was with the Alley Cat Games, worked for them for a bit this year. We did an award for friendly local gaming stores as an appreciation award to try and support them, because obviously this year's not been great. So what we did for that is we got people to vote on their favorite local community game store, and the winners got $250 worth of stock that they could sell for, so we gave them to the stores, and also people that nominated, we chose one person to be the winner to get a bunch of games as well. So that was another freebie we did, and the motivation behind that was to try and get people talking about and thinking about their local game stores, even though they couldn't physically go there at the moment. Maybe it was still keeping that conversation going and keeping people remembering them, and also giving some stores some free stock to sell over Christmas, which was, you know, a good thing to do.
Other stuff. Well, Rob mentioned it in the chat. One thing we haven't yet done. We did say when we published the Ming Voyages and the March of Progress, these are number 2 and number 3 in our Pocket Campaign series. Now, number 1 was the Cousins War, way back in the midst of time before COVID, and that game. When we originally published it, we didn't know it was going to be a series, and we decided later on it was going to be a series. So it doesn't have a number 1 on it. So we're going to do a little sticker so that people could stick the number 1 sticker on the spine of their game so that it would match. So there's the Ming Voyage with its number 2, you see. So they were going to print some stickers for people to put on their Cousins War games. That was going to be nice, but we were going to hand it out when we met people. That was the point. The point was, come to Expo, come to Spiel, come to our stand, and you get your sticker. But of course, that never really worked. So it was a bit of a disaster. Yeah, that was a bit disappointing. But previous to that, in the Kickstarter for Ming Voyages and March of Progress, we actually did run a little competition. We dreamt up some questions about the game, and winners got either 2 copies of, or 1 copy of each game, or their choice of a copy. So that was quite fun. And that well, yes, it's a marketing ploy to get people playing games, having a look at the material that we'd published. But yeah, people were really enthusiastic about that, and I was really glad to do that. It was good fun. Nice. Yeah, so that was a good fun thing to do.
People do love free stuff. It's true. So yeah, I'm also thinking about, like, you know, if we're still on the professionalism, well, professionally giving away stuff. I mean, obviously, whenever we're at conventions, as Alan says, you know, you will try and have a promo kind of thing. So we had like a little, when we launched Mega City, we had a little sort of heart-shaped hub start tile, which was, I thought, really cute. I really, really liked it. It doesn't do anything else in the game apart from just sort of like give you a slightly different aesthetic on the start of play. But yeah, you know, also when we're at shows, it's a good sort of like opportunity to sort of give your games to people who you really want to have them try, especially other folks in the industry as well, which is really nice. I mean, and I always say, when I'm giving somebody a copy of my game at a show, it's never to get something back from them. It's always because I'm excited for them to play something I've worked on, or play something that I've had a hand in, or something that's got my name on the front of it if I'm super lucky. And that makes that's a very much a, hey, you taking this is going to make me feel super happy. Please accept this thing. And yeah, it's absolutely, it's lovely. It's one of the reasons I make games, to sort of like, so people who are around me, people who I respect, people who are my friends. So basically I can blag them free stuff. Don't tell the company. Shh.
I like this. And let's keep going, but let's kind of speed it up with just a quick what we've given away and any takeaways. So I will say that I remember at Essen, first time I went, I was given a lot of key rings and Yogi promotional things, and I also had coasters. And I had a sign saying, "Draw a cat, get a free thing." Within the first day, I took that down, not because I'd run out of free stuff, but because I realized that people were just really enjoying drawing cats for the sake of it. And so I just changed it for a poster that said, "Draw a cat." And then I just gave away people free stuff occasionally. And so that was my lesson, that sometimes you don't need to incentivize people to do things. Sometimes people just want to do things for fun. Jess?
Yeah, I think giving away freebies, something I've taken away from that. I think it doesn't have to be about selling it or necessarily marketing. You can kind of use freebies as a way to kind of drive some good in the world or create awareness for something that's not the company you're representing at that time. So, and it's nice to do that. Like Michael says, it's nice to give freebies away to people and blag them free stuff when you can.
Yeah, I agree. We will tend to give freebie copies of our games to our friends and to other companies that we regularly exchange games with. It's just a nice thing to do. I suppose our biggest kind of freebie stuff is always Snowdonia, because Snowdonia, which we originally published in 2012, but every year we would have a bunch of promos to get people to, well, not to get people to come to the stand, but to get people collecting stuff about the game. I suppose it's more of a kind of community. So there's a community of Snowdonia collectors and players out there who like to have all the stuff. And Tony was always producing promos. Very often he would produce them and then just put them on Facebook or put them on his blog. And we might or might not publish them depending on, I don't know, circumstance really. But the Snowdonia promos were just a huge thing for us. So every year people would come to the Stand at Expo or Spiel to find out what the promo was. And that was great. That's really good. And we have fun. We just have fun little Christmas promos as well. That was great. And a lot of people would just take them even if they weren't interested necessarily in the game, because you had a nice little bit of artwork on it as well. It was just a fun thing to do. The difficulty with that was partly that then some collectors would have an expectation that they would always be able to get the promos. Now the problem is, if you're a collector in the States and you don't go to Essen or Expo, then there's a bit of a difficulty. So do we post promos out? Question.
That's going to cause a big argument. Not between us two. No, not at all. But yeah, there's going to be a lot of people who say, well, you should do this for our... No, whatever. I'm trying to think of any other free stuff. I mean, complete tangent. Surprise, Michael does a tangent. We got a new Xbox, like the brand new one, a little while ago, and I had the old Xbox, which was working perfectly fine and brilliantly, and it's a lovely little machine. And I knew, we've said it 9 million times on this episode alone, it's been a crappy year for a lot of people. So I asked around a few friends and said, did anybody want my old Xbox? Still perfectly functional, still perfectly great, still got my Game Pass account on it so people can play the games on it and all that good stuff. And it never really sort of like crossed my mind that, hey, you could actually take this into town, sell it or something. And it's just like, don't need to. I'm comfortable enough off that I can afford a brand new machine. I'm pretty sure that I can just have this thing find a new home. And yeah, it's pretty nice to sort of like, so again, end up giving it to folks who have not had a console for years and years and years. And it's just like, here you go, enjoy it. And it's like brand new. So it's like, that's more of a recycling freebies, I guess. But I am here for, if I have something that I don't have a need of anymore, and I know somebody who does have a need for it or would find a use for it, then I would much sooner give it to somebody than demand like, oh, give me 50 quid for that or whatever. I think it's much better. Share the love around. It's all good.
Yeah. And hello, Yoda. You're just in time to watch us finishing up the first question. So, yeah, you see what side it. Obviously, I'm going to give everyone a chance to say more stuff. But the last thing that I thought of was when I'm posting something out, I try to, especially nowadays, put a wee bonus thing into it. So I used to have these coasters, which, yeah, I'd printed them off, and on one side it's got a little URL, but less so the Kitty Cataclysm things, and I feel like those look too much like a promo thing. But the original Wibble Plus Plus coaster, I still feel proud of them. Like, I feel like, yeah, they actually look really nice. And I get so many people in bars where I'd given them saying, oh, people were just admiring them as works of art, not realizing that there was a game attached. And that's almost exactly what I wanted, that people just enjoyed them as objects in their own right. And now I've got all these cat stickers, and I've got, like, you know, hundreds of them to give away when someone, you know, I'm not going to say that I always do it, so please don't buy something saying, oh, Bez, you must give me cat stickers, because that's obviously an ugly side of it when there's entitlement. And it's like, okay, but, you know, once in a while, I mean, I'm going to draw a wee thing, which is that a freebie? I don't know. Like, some people would argue, yes, quick self-portraits on an envelope is a form of freebie, but certainly shoving a few cat stickers, and I've had people definitely tell me, hey, thank you very much for all the freebies that you put in the envelope and a lovely doodle. So I guess what that tells me is that people do really appreciate these things. And so, yeah. Jess, any other things to share quickly?
Gosh, no, I think I've just, in general about freebies, shared a few things I've done and general thoughts. Sorry to
it's all good.
Be much more insightful.
No, if that's it, it's all good. You can always pass with these questions.
Pass.
I was quite proud with the freebie we did for Cousins War, which was the Battle of a card for the Battle of Tewkesbury. It was a completely. I did it specifically because I wanted to have something which was really complicated on a promo card. So people had to go to the website to actually find out what the rules were for it. And it has loads of icons on it. It's like, it's a definitely silly promo. I would never include it in a game because that's not something. Don't make something just complicated for the sake of it. But I did for that one because if you don't know about the Battle of Tewkesbury, look it up, how it happened. It's all about the loser of the Battle of Barnet gets to choose whether they want to have the Battle of Tewkesbury or not. And it rolls on from there. But I was quite pleased with that one. That was fun. So doing fun things and giving them away is part of it, definitely.
One thing that I liked that we did at Hub was we did a run of our little promo badges, the Hub Games Heart badges. And we ended up sort of like essentially giving them, it was like to friends and family sort of thing. I have sort of like had a reignited love of collecting pin badges in the last few years. And the fact that a load of different companies, especially at Gen Con as well, you will see loads and loads of different companies sort of like having their own special ones for the year, that kind of thing. And I like the fact that there's like 200 of these in existence in the world, and pretty much everybody we know who has one is somebody who's connected to us in some way. And I really, really like that. It's always really nice sort of like seeing people wearing them when we're at a show on like their lanyards or whatever. Because it's just nice. It's a connection thing, I guess. So yeah, that's why I got that. Bez, you're quiet again.
Thank you, Michael. I just need to have you on every stream I do from now on. Do you want to join my stream tomorrow?
Might be a little bit busy.
In all seriousness, yeah, this is not the sum total of everything we've done, but you've got a good idea of our backgrounds, and I'd like to say, yeah, how do we define this? Because my definition was giving away without financial cost something that could be sold for money.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think of that definition of a freebie?
I think that's pretty good, because sometimes to get a freebie you have to do something like, I don't know, like you said, Bez, draw a cat for it or something. So yeah, I think without, you know, not being for money, I think is a good way to define it.
Yeah. I'm not for a lot of the stuff which we do as freebies. I'm not sure that we would. I suppose they could be sold. Some of those Nodonia promos, I suppose, could be sold, but I don't think that it's. We're not measuring the value in money terms for freebies. Well, I don't think I am anyway. It's an imponderable. So I'm not sure that it's certainly stuff that we give away for free. And the reasons are many and varied. It's overall marketing, I guess. That's the overall part of it. Marketing is the overarching reason for doing it, and because it's fun, I guess. But I'm not sure about we could sell it, because I don't think we've ever tried to sell. I don't think we've ever tried to sell like the promos.
But some people do sell promo cards on their website, so it is potentially a thing you could, if you wanted to sell it, you could.
I think they could. Yeah, they could do. I would frown on that a lot. I think personally, selling off freebies. I know people do. I know there's a secondary market in it, but it just seems a bit. I don't know, crass.
I mean, that's the thing. I understand that you might not want to, but the truth is that, as Jess says, you could. And so it seems like, Alan, you're kind of just feeling icky about that notion of you could sell it for money. And it doesn't mean that you would personally be willing to sell it for money, but that people feel like, okay, this is something that's in this capitalistic world of ours where we ascribe costs. It's not just giving away... I mean, what could be sold for chewing gum? I was going to say a bit of used chewing... a bit of used chewing gum, could you sell that? Well, if you worked hard enough, maybe you could find someone who really needs a bit of used chewing gum for some strange reason, I don't know. But probably not. It's not something that's accepted as something that has some sort of... Michael, any thoughts on improving the definition, or shall we just stick with it?
I think it's a pretty good definition. My only thing with it was the financial aspect. Yeah, no, I was about to say it does depend on who's chewing. I know that there have been this was Elsa's chewing gum and it sold for thousands of dollars or whatever. That's gross, though, yo. There is always going to be a financial aspect to it because even if you are giving something away for free, you have to have spent money to produce it. You have spent your time, your effort, your energy to create it. So. If you're giving away a promo or you're giving away games and stuff, you are cutting into your financial pile of cash. Imagine with Big Dragons, we just got big piles of gold underneath us. Some of that has to go on actually buying 250 odd Hub Games badges or 200 Tewkesbury, Battle of Tewkesbury promos, that kind of thing.
I am sitting on my pile of gold at the moment.
I was wondering why you're up so high.
Yeah, it's big pile. I've got piles. That's what it is. Yeah, I know.
Gross, disgusting boy.
Okay. Alex suggests that maybe if you were selling it, Alan, you could at least charge for postage and packing and time. Rob mentions the service where people can buy promos. So at least collectors don't have to miss out. And yeah, I wanted to kind of think about the edge cases of this definition. So firstly, is it a promo if you've only got a chance to get... I mean, is it a freebie if you've only got a chance to get to a competition? And secondly, is it a freebie if you are charging some amount for it? So let's have an example. There was a while when I was thinking I would try and send out stuff, literally as much as I could, to schools and stuff. And it would be okay, any schools that want something, I will send it to you. You've just got to cover the printing cost and the postage cost, and that's basically it. It's something that makes it so that, in theory, if this were to scale up, then I could continue to do it and not actually lose money. And it's set at a level where, okay, if I need to get Chris to start packing the things because it's, oh my God, now I have to pack 100 things. This is too much for me. I could actually do that. And so, yes, if there is a school and you want a copy of Yogi or Yogi Guru, I will sell you one at a largely discounted cost. I'm not able to say to every school in the country, hey, you can have Yogi for absolutely nothing. Now, this is a discounted thing, but is it the freebie? Is the competition a freebie, Jess?
Well, I don't feel a discounted thing is a freebie because you're still paying for it, but at a discounted rate. I think a competition counts as a freebie because because the competition is the chance to get a freebie. So somebody does get the freebie. And now the word freebie, I said it so much, it's lost all meaning in my mind. Sorry, I got distracted. You know, when you say something so much and it's like, that's not a word. And I'm also dyslexic. So sometimes I do say and write things that are not words. So I have that moment of panic. But anyway, I don't think a discounted thing counts as a freebie because you're still having to pay for it. But I think a competition does count if we're defining terms. Unless the competition has to pay. But I still think just paying postage, if you get the game for free, I think that still counts as a freebie because the game itself is the freebie. Because you could always say, if you can come and collect it for here, if you wanted. Like on Facebook Marketplace, you know, you get that. You're like, you can collect this dresser if you can come get it.
Tricky.
Yes, I agree with Alex and Alan. It is indeed tricky.
I think a freebie has to be completely free. I mean, an example. We had there was a raffle for Consequences event recently, and we gave a couple of prizes for the raffle. Now, because it was online, there was normally Consequences is in the UK, so people who you just give it to them. You know, that's really easy. It's nice. But because this was online, we knew there were people who might be in the US who might win a prize, and we were giving physical games. So we took the view, we were giving a couple of games away, we took the view that we can wear the cost of that because it's not huge, even if it's to America. And even though we had an American won, obviously an American won one of the copies, yes. And she actually said, I'm happy to pay the postage. Now, I was not prepared to accept that because it's a freebie. You know, a freebie isn't something where you go to them and say, oh, yeah, but pay X for it. They haven't really won anything then, have they? They've paid for something. So that was the view we took. And I think we would normally take that view. Postage is part of the cost.
I'm inclined to agree. If you're going to do a competition and you're then going to turn around and say, oh, and if you're a winner, you have to cover the however much it costs to get this copy of this game from our place to your place. That ain't a freebie. That's, you know, the person is still doling out money for something that they could potentially just buy from, you know, a local store or whatever. So yeah, I think it has to be 100% like covered by whoever's doing the giveaway. In all the different companies I've worked with and for, I have never ever asked somebody to cover the shipping on something if they've won it, if we're giving it to them for free. Yeah, it doesn't sit well with me, I guess. Yeah, I get that same icky feeling that Alan gets as well. Yeah.
Now,
yeah, I was just
sorry.
I was going to jump in on that if I could, because I've got a slightly. I think with competitions it should be free. Absolutely, for the shipping, I completely agree. But the one thing I was saying is, if it's different, if like you had an online shop and you're like, today we are giving away all our copies of X game for free, you just have to pay the shipping. I still think that counts as a freebie because I've done logistics with games. I see games and shipping costs as two very separate things, and I know generally the consumer audience sees them as the same thing. You know, the psychology. You'd much rather buy a game for £30 with free shipping than a game for £25 with £5 shipping. That's the psychology.
Yeah.
Of the but in my mind, they're two separate things, because a game buying a thing is a thing in itself, but then the shipping of it is the service that's tailored to your individual circumstance. So that's why I think they're two different. But I completely agree with what you both said about competition. If I saw a competition, then you had to pay postage, you'd be a bit like, oh, it just puts a bit of a, I think because when you see competitions and freebie giveaways, you have an idea in your mind that the whole thing is free. And then if you were suddenly told, you know, you'd feel like you kind of broke the deal a little bit, because that's not the normal thing. So in some ways I agree with you, but I still maintain that paying shipping is still a freebie for a game. If that makes sense.
Now, it occurs to me that we do have a lot more than we will probably cover within the next hour. And I wanted to quickly ask how, Alan, I know that we normally talk every couple of weeks, and Michael and Jess, because apparently you can't say no, would you be able and willing potentially to continue this chat? I'm really sorry to ask you this live rather than via private chat, but in 2 weeks potentially.
Oh, pressure. Yeah.
Yeah. It's emotional blackmail asking live, isn't it? Yes, I think so. Let me just consult my diary. Probably. I mean, maybe if we message diaries afterwards, but in theory...
Let's work out something for a future date. But it occurs to me that whilst we could probably rush through everything, it feels like that's not really going to do justice to all these questions. And there's a lot of good inputs from chat, which is, you know, for example, say it's mentioning that when private people are doing giveaways and they say, if you can chip in for shipping, that would be great. Say it feels that would be fine, especially if you can caveat. If it's a company doing that, then it seems a bit cheap.
Yeah.
So,
well, we have our piles of gold. You see, that's the thing.
Yeah, what I think I need to accept is that there's a lot of these topics that we start talking about, and it's just like, wow, I thought that we would definitely cover this because we give it an hour and a half, but with the tangents, with actually really getting into it. And I've written a little note about, you know, the hidden costs of that, because that itself is such a big thing. You know, when you get to a game and then you've got to suddenly pay. And I had a game from, Deepwater Games. It was like one of those cheap, okay, sorry everyone, it's COVID. Here's a cheap pack of games. This is like $25. Okay, it's another $25 to post to the UK. Okay, it's still worth it. I'm going to buy these things. I'm going to trust that these are good games. I'm not going to... And then suddenly I'm being told that I need to pay 65 quid for import by a company that has, that's what they told me anyway. So, but let's talk about motivations, because this was the big thing. That I loved what Alan was saying in the Facebook chat before we started. I thought about, okay, we're doing it in return for marketing. We're doing it as a gift to friends, as a thank you for people who've worked on something. We are doing it to keep a game in people's minds, to get them playing it and spreading the word, or maybe just to share something with the world that you're proud of, that you're like, yeah, I want more people to play it. Or maybe it's a bit of laugh. And I want to ask, what tends to be your main motivation, A, as a person when you're giving away stuff, and B, professionally? Michael.
I guess professionally, it's about spreading the word or something. It's, you know, most of the time we give away free stuff, and I'm not going to include when we mail review copies out to people. I'm mainly talking about like when it's a face-to-face sort of thing. But yeah, if we're giving people free stuff, it is generally from a pro point of view, it is like, hey, I would like you to check this out. Often, you know, a lot of our stuff at the end of a convention, at the end of a show, there'll be sort of like, you know, reviewers will swing by or whatever, and they'll be like, oh, can I have a look at that copy of whatever that you're packing away at this point? And it's just like, yeah, just take it. It's fine. It's all good. And a lot of the time that isn't done with an expectation of, I would like you to review this, but it's like, hey, you know, when you get around, we're around to it. Let us know what you think about it. So yeah, from a professional point of view, most of the time it is about sort of like the spreading of the word of whatever you're doing at that point in time. From a personal point of view, it's very much about that. Like I said earlier, I want people to try something out or experience something that I am proud to have had a part in, basically. You know, I'm allowed to feel pride in the things that I have created, because making stuff is not easy. It's not a simple process. And when you get all the way to the end of that road, or at least to the end of that chapter of the journey, when the physical product's there in your hand, there is little more sort of like, to give you that sort of like tingly feeling in the back of your head, sort of like say, here you go, this is something that I've made. And then like hopefully later down the line they'll come back and they'll say, hey, that looks awesome. That was great, fantastic. I do not make it look easy. I do not make it look easy. Even though I can make games pretty quickly, it's not a simple process. But yeah, it feels nice. Like, so I'm not incredibly close to my family, but they do each own at least one thing that I've made, and it's like up there on the photos wall, you know. So like there's a picture of my dad and my brother and me, and then next to that there's a copy of Fox and Chicken that we made years and years and years ago. And it is like a thing that they can be proud of as well, even though none of my family understand what games is. My mum literally still thinks I work for Nintendo, which makes no sense whatsoever, but hey, that's what they're like. So yeah, it's very much personally a sharing thing, professionally a sharing thing, but a different kind of sharing thing, I guess. Yeah. Back to the start again, Michael. Well done.
No, I think that's a lovely way to put it.
Yeah, personal. I mean, I agree with everything that Michael said. I haven't got a huge amount to add, to be honest, in that sense. But certainly, giving stuff away as personally rather than professionally, it's because you have a contact with these people who are your friends or who've maybe been involved in helping you with staff, family. It's that giving things away. It's good to do. It makes you feel good, and it makes them feel good, and it's part of that personal interaction you have with people as humans. It's human what we do. Professionally, again, I'm just repeating what Michael said, but hang on. I think it's part. I think it's part of trying to build a community of people who know your company, and be that people who are sometimes going to buy stuff and maybe sometimes not, and if there are other companies that you're involved with, you know, or for example, we have long-standing contacts with a number of other publishers because we try to pitch our designs to them, so we will give them copies of our games. We meet Cosmos every year. We've never had a game with Cosmos, but we meet Cosmos every year at Spiel, except this year. Anyway, and we will give them copies of our games because it's nice for them to know what we're doing. If only they'd give us copies of all their games too, it'd be really good. But for some reason, that doesn't happen here. So yeah, so professionally, I think it's a little bit about building community. So like I said earlier, the people used to come along to stand to see what Snowdonia promo we had that year, and that's all good. That's all good. We don't have any expectation that they will buy stuff. Very often they will buy stuff anyway, but we don't. It's not to make people buy things. It's to say to people, remember, Surprise Star Games is here, and we did Snowdonia, or whatever the game is. That's the purpose of it, really, professionally.
Yeah, so professionally for me in my roles, I'm not a games designer, so I'm not creating games myself and giving it away to people. I'm usually brought on board to be part of a company to help with like sort of marketing-y, salesy type things. So usually a giveaway is kind of a means to an end for marketing in the roles I do. And the means to the end isn't always buy our stuff. Sometimes it is, but sometimes it's for things like with Alicat, it was, we want you to support your local game stores more. So we're going to use this giveaway as a means to get you to do that. Or so there's different things like that. Reindeer Games with Meatmax is a little different because this was something that was made and it was like, let's give it away because it's nice. And there's no real agenda with it, which was weird for me in the job. Because I was like, oh, well, what should we use it for to do this? And they're like, no, just give it away. And it was like, okay. So I have tagged a few optional things onto it. So you can donate to charity if you like the game, because we've had some people say, oh, we had good fun with it. Can we pay for it? And we said, no, go to this charity. So we've put our recommended charity. So if people would like to, they can, but there's no obligation or need to do that. But yeah, so for work-wise, it's a mean to an end for me. And personally, I think gift giving is a thing that humans like to do to say they like people. But I think there's, if you've heard of the love languages theory, there's 5 different love languages that different people have, the way that they show affection for people. And gift giving is one of them. And gift giving isn't about the money side of things. So I think people misinterpret and think, oh, that must be very materialistic people that like gift giving because they're wanting to get things and stuff. But it's generally about the thought behind it of, here is a physical reminder or a thing about me and the friendship or connection that we have. But yeah, so I think that's why humans on a personal level do that and give gifts away. And I do like giving gifts away to my friends. If I get some freebies from work and stuff, and if I have more than I need or want, it's nice to give them to my friends and stuff as well. So nice to pass the freebies on sometimes.
Yeah, I think that I agree with everyone. I don't think that we've got any disagreements here, which makes things maybe a bit less exciting, but maybe also quite pleasant. Because, sorry, I'm just laughing at Alex, staring in surprise. And I should quickly vocalise a quick hello to Matthew Dunstan, who popped in earlier and just got a quick wave. But yeah, I love that notion of love languages. I mean, for sure, if I'm living with people, if I'm getting together with people, I know that I got a copy of Key Market from David Brain, which was really lovely and generous. And it wasn't, just because we happened to playtest, I might have said something useful. I don't know. At the time, it was before the redesign was actually announced. I doubt very much that I was of any use at all, frankly, for that game. And it was basically David just saying, hey, you're my friend, you're a person whose presence I appreciate in the world, here, have this. And sometimes with my own things, whether it's Yogi, when I'm able to give it to a housemate to say, hey, I really appreciate you being here, and here, have one, or giving it to my mum, being here, have something that I'm proud of. And for sure, I do feel a little bit less proud of a game that I've got a little bit less involved in. And I think that's inevitable. I feel slightly more pride of giving away Kitty Cataclysm than I would maybe Yogi Guru, and I would feel more pride of giving away Yogi Guru than I would of giving away Dice and Ink, and I would feel more pride giving away Dice and Ink than I would Chronicles of Crime, which I had basically no involvement in. And I just want to point out, going back to Xate saying that they didn't enter my Instagram because they already have she already has all my games. I never said that the games would be my games necessarily. I do have other games still in Shrink that, I would be basically, what kind of games do you like? I would give something to the person who won. That's the way it was. And so let that be a lesson to everyone. Don't just, if I say I'm giving away a game, don't just assume it's my game that I'm giving away. But back to the point, as a person, yes, it's all about that pride. It's all about, hey, I'm feeling great about this, and hopefully you might enjoy this as well. If it's, as a company, as a company, I don't even know if Stuff by Bez is a company. That's a perennial question. Like, if I had actually registered it as a company, then, well, legal, it's a company at least. But anyway, as a sole trader who hopes to make it not lose money and be able to make stuff and not lose money doing that, I'm sending stuff out, trying to raise awareness. That is ultimately it. And yeah, make people aware of this game. Try to help people have more coverage, because it's people who are going to be posting it and saying, hey, this was a fun thing that I played, giving it to reviewers. And that is it. It's a mixture of that whole awareness and people hearing about it. As a company, that's why I do it. As a person, sometimes it's just, you know what, I want you to have my stuff if you're actually enjoying it, which is why sometimes there's a bit more than usual. So let's go to that. Let's talk about that content creation. We've already talked about how, you know, the personal and the professional really overlap. But when you're giving stuff to reviewers, to media folk, how do you decide who you want to give it to? Michael?
A lot of the time it is down to seeing if they basically it's the right kind of audience model, I guess. We know that we could just send our stuff to the biggest content creators out there. You know, we can send our stuff to the Dice Tower, and we do. But honestly, we will often get a lot more, and value is probably the wrong word, but you know, we'll get a lot more back from sending a game to a reviewer or a site who will give it a bit more due care and attention, I guess. And a lot of that just comes from, like, you know, knowing what their audience is basically like. So the Dice Tower is like, it's the coverall, you know, it's the general audience. Everybody, you know, they have a big audience, and they are people from all across the spectrum. But if I can get a copy of a game that we know is probably more aimed towards a family market into the hands of someone who is very much sort of like, you know, based, someone like Geek Dad, for example, that is probably going to do us better in the long run, because they're much more of a targeted, you know, they're much more of a targeted site, you know, a targeted channel. They know who their audience is, and because of that, it's highly likely that the percentage of people who will be interested in the product that we sent them will be higher than if we just send it to a general coverall like Geek and Sundry or Dice Tower, something like that. Now, I still think it's almost like an industry given thing that you must send stuff to the Dice Tower because, you know, that you have to get coverage on there. Of course you do. But we've actually turned away a lot of that from that a lot recently, because we would sooner, I think, a lot of the time support the smaller, like up and coming content creators as well, who, and this is going to sound pretty mercenary, but it's like, you know, they may not get like the review copies that a bigger channel receives. You know, they may not get all of these things. So if I can send something out to somebody who's got like a couple of thousand of subscribers instead of tens of thousands, but I know that they're going to put a lot of care and attention into the piece that they're going to put together, then for me personally, it's also a very small way of supporting smaller up and coming content creators. And that's as important as anything else to me as well. So yeah. There you go, done.
That was good.
Thank you.
I agree with you, Michael. You said a lot of things I was going to say. I was going to say it's really tempting, this is going to be echoing a lot of what you said. It's really tempting to send it to people that have the most reach. Like, okay, who has the most people staring at them and listening to things they say. It's really tempting to do that. And reach is important because you want to get your freebie, your game out to as many people as possible. But you know, sometimes you have to think about who's the most appropriate audience. Who is the person that's going to most likely enjoy my game, or most likely buy my game, maybe if you're looking from a commercial point of view, and who are they looking to? Who are their specific influences? Because different things matter to different people. Like you're saying, like maybe if I'm doing a co-op game, I know there are some people that specifically review co-op games, so they are probably good people to do that. So it's about focusing on that. And also it becomes a bit about community building as well, because the relationship between the publisher and the content creator. If you're like, do you know what? They don't have loads of subscribers, but every time we send X person a game, they do a really good job. They get a review out and they're really excited about it. And we like that relationship. They're part of the kind of the community in a way, and they're like a good community advocate for us. So it comes down to that as well. And like you say, it's a nice way to support upcoming content creators, because in the end, we're all a really enthusiastic bunch of people that like games a lot. And none of us really get into this industry to make a lot of money. If we do, they leave quite quickly because they look around and realize what's happening. So it's just a bunch of people that really like games and like talking about it. So it's fun to find people that want to talk about games with you.
Yes, I mean, I agree with everything that Mike and Jess have said, really. I mean, I would say from our point of view, or from my point of view, I'm just really bad at it, actually. I'm not very good at working out who to give stuff to, who will do reviews and generally spread the word. What I would like to see is, well, I suspect that all three of us will get approaches from hundreds of people, and it's really, really difficult to spend the time actually to investigate those hundreds of people and work out who is going to be the ones that you send stuff to. And you can't send it out to everybody, because otherwise, well, I don't know about you guys, but with the kind of levels of production that we're in, we can't afford to give away, you know, 10% of our product to reviewers. It's not practical. So some people will be disappointed, and we have to filter it out somehow. And really the filtering is, well, it might be, for the simplest thing might be, is this someone we know? Is this somebody we've heard of before? Have they actually reviewed our stuff before? What was that like, and what was their reach? And it's as simple as that from our point of view. It's fairly straightforward, but it's just so difficult because there are so many people out there doing it. I mean, difficult ones, for example, difficult ones might be from overseas countries. If there's somebody from Poland who's got a massive reach in the Polish market, do we know how many Polish sales we might get? I haven't got a clue. We might get, it's quite possible we might get 50 Polish sales. I don't know, because most of them will be probably playing it in English anyway. If they're buying one of our games, it won't be in Polish, unless you get somebody who's Polish who might translate the rules for us, and that's the kind of thing has happened before quite a lot as well. So I mean, it's very difficult. So I think I'm still learning all the time about who to address, and the Kickstarter that we had earlier this year was very, very good for me in terms of sorting out who actually, identifying specific people to do this in advance and taking advice from the other companies that were involved with our Kickstarter. That was really, really helpful. So I think it changes over time, still learning.
I mean, I'm probably the one who's not worked for any reasonably sized company. I mean, sure, yes, I worked for Alley Cat Games for a while, but I wasn't, managing the review copies being sent out. I've done design work for quite big companies, but I've never been in charge of review copies for anyone who's of any particular size. And so personally, no, I don't get that many requests. What I have started turning down is in-person requests. If someone is coming up to me at Essen and saying, oh, we're going to do this thing. Oh, look at this video that we do. We do this daily thing at the end of every day. So we'll do a quick unboxing and talk a bit about your game. We've played it now. We really like it. And we'll say that on video. And then maybe people buy it on the Thursday because we'll do that tonight. And yeah, I've had that sort of scenario. And then someone's just not done anything with it. I've also given a game to someone who I've still got something of a personal relationship with, but because it was a game system, they went and reviewed 5 games out of the 5, only having played 1.5 of them, which I understand the game system's a difficult thing, but that still smacked a lot when a lot of the review was about, hey, you know what? A lot of party games are really badly developed these days. Okay, that's a fair thing to say, but keep that separate. I mean, otherwise, you're basically saying that Grabble is a really badly developed game, and sure, it might not be to your tastes, but I challenge anyone to say that Grabble, the end game, is not. Sorry, that and Grabble, it only takes 2 minutes. I can teach and play that game within 2 minutes, and if you haven't even played that game once, then frankly, passing any judgments on it as a reviewer is ridiculous. That's my personal point of view. And so, yeah, I'm not going to send that person any more stuff for sure. And sometimes it is about the shipping costs. And sometimes, oh man.
I mean, it's true.
I was going to interrupt you and say I've not worked for a reasonably large company either.
Well, Surprise Terror Games.
We're not a reasonably large company. We're a
but you're bigger. You have a bit more sales than Stuff by Bez.
Yeah, you got a rep. You know.
Okay, like, we have a rep. Yeah.
Look, Alu Barry, like Snowdonia is a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
So yeah, you've got probably lots of people.
So's Yogi.
Yeah, but I'm not the person who decides who gets review copy of Yogi. No, yes, I might do it. I have actually sent out a review copy of Yogi, but which, to be honest, I don't do that as a viewpoint of I really want to have more reviews of Yogi in the world because I don't care about it at this point. There's been, like, after I saw the Korean version with the kids like smack, it was a really weird thing. I need to show this at some point, but not today. It's the most weird review. I don't even know if it is a review. It's so weird. Anyway, but once it was like that, it was like, wow, this is like bigger than so much bigger than anything. And in the normal board game thing, this is as big as it can get. This is like the high points for me. Watching 2 wee kids run around doing strange gymnastics whilst their mum sing songs and they play yoga. It was really weird. Anyway, but it's kind of a way to see, okay, what kind of content are they going to make? Because right now I'm sold out of my own stuff. And frankly, I mix my personal and professional thing a lot more than probably the other people on this video, because I do so many videos where it's like, you know what, there's no way this is going to result in realistically probably not even one more sale, but I'm still going to give it to these people because I like what they do and I would like to see what they think. I would like to watch that. And for me, watching someone else talk about my thing, that is a source of joy. I know there's people out there, and yeah, let's talk about reviews another time, because otherwise, I feel like what might be prudent to do is try and skim through things as best we can. And then if we are able to come back to, but let's have a quick, some sort of thoughts on all the things. So, yes.
Fling us a question out. We'll zoom through it.
Okay, so some first person to put their hands up or start answering, it's going to be mad chaos. How many people do you normally give a game to just to say thank you for working on it?
I will make sure that everybody who play tested it to a significant level gets a copy. Then generally sort of like a couple of members of friends and family. So when a game gets done, generally it's contractually stated that you will get X amount of copies to, publisher copies, designer copies, whatever. And you can do whatever you like with them, give them to whoever you please. So, but yeah, the playtester copies are not taken out of that.
Yeah, we will give copies to all the people who have made a major contribution to playtesting, as a matter of course, because otherwise they might not come back and do it again. And besides, we should. It's kind of, it's not payment, but it's kind of a recognition of their input. And people like to see their name in print, which is another thing.
Yeah.
Which is very good. I think it also depends on the game and how many we've got. I think with the Pocket Campaign series, because they are relatively small games, we've tended to give out more. With something like, I don't know, with Snowdonia Deluxe Master Set, we're not generally, well, it's not ours, it's a different company, but we're not going to be giving out a huge number of games that are kind of $80, whatever, I think.
Yeah.
With Confucius, we didn't give out very many Confucius because we only had...
Hopefully we will be able to come back to all of these at a later date, Alan. Now, if we are giving something away to raise awareness, Jess, what is a good object to give away? Should we give away the game or some wee bits?
I think the game, if you're doing it to create awareness, because you want that person to play the game and be like, oh, this game is awesome, and be your little cheerleader champion person. So I think the game.
And do we do it as an open to everyone thing, or is it better to do it selected people?
I think targeted, and I mean, in an ideal world, you'd give it away to everybody for free, because why not? But unfortunately, things cost money, and we live in a capitalist society. So it has to be targeted to what you're trying to achieve with that giveaway, like we mentioned before. So and it has to be, so who are the influencers in the audience you're trying to reach? Who is the most appropriate person for that?
Now, Michael, do you think that, getting people to play it and spread it away, do you think competitions are a good use of marketing dollars?
They can be. The answer to a lot of these questions, to be honest, Bez, is probably going to be, yeah, maybe, because sometimes stuff doesn't stick to the wall when you throw it at it. Sometimes a competition can completely fall on its backside. Sometimes it can blow up and be an absolute fantastic thing. I think generally, free product is we say free product, it still costs us money to produce, but I think it was Aqua said earlier in the chat, like it's a lot cheaper for us to give, it sounds weird, it's a lot cheaper for us to give $100 of product away as opposed to $100, because $100 of product generally will work out to be maybe about $25 to $30 worth of cost for us, to be honest. But yeah, it's a good way of at least getting the attention, but it can also be sort of snapped up by a lot of people who will just be on social media, for example, to enter competitions. There are a lot of competition only accounts that people will literally enter everything they can. And it is kind of a pain in the butt when you see that a lot of the people who have entered the giveaway are literally just in it for the free stuff to sell on or whatever. But it's part of the game, basically. Like, you do what you can to make sure that whoever wins is going to appreciate it. So hopefully, hopefully be okay.
Okay. Alan or Jess, any more quick thoughts on competitions?
We've done relatively few competitions, I suppose. We did one for Copper Twaddle, which is how we met David Brain. So it's got to have some huge benefit, really. And we did have a nice giveaway there, which was a piece of the original artwork. So I think that as Michael said, it depends. And also, can we track how effective the competition has been? And I'm not sure, to be honest. I mean, when we were starting out, we just wanted to get noticed a bit. So a competition for Copper Twaddle, our first game, was kind of appropriate. And we had it on the website, it got people to the website. And we've done a few others. We did a couple of other little competitions like that on the website as well. But I don't know how effective our Kickstarter competition was, for example. I think it was fine that we got to some people, but I don't know how many of those were competition hunters and how many were kind of.
It's really hard to measure, for sure.
It's really hard to measure. But like all marketing, it's really hard to measure.
Yeah, I think with marketing, measuring is the very important bit. My degree was in that, and that was a really key part of it. So even with Reindeer Games, where even though we're giving it away for free because we can, I've put lots of tracking on there. So I know how many people have seen the advert I put on Facebook telling people about it. I know how many people based off that clicked through to the website, and I know how many people that actually signed up to get it. And I know from that how many people actually played it. And that's really useful insight for us to learn. Not because to make money, because this side of the business is not about money generation, but it's really useful to know those sorts of things because it lets you know how effective what you're doing is. Is it reaching the right people? Does that work really well? So I'd say as competitions, a really good thing to do is think about what your goal is and make sure you have a way to review it afterwards. And to review it, you need to have some way to measure that and some way to define what was successful. And you can define that as ever you want. You could be like, it will be a success if 5 people take me up and enter the competition. So you can do whatever you like, but make sure you have a way to measure, was this good or not and worth it, so that afterwards you can review it. And if it wasn't, that's fine. It just means you've learned something.
And what do you think of the BGG competition templates that Alex mentions, where you've got to answer some questions that show you've actually read through the Kickstarter or looked at the BGG page?
If I can jump in on that, I actually really like it. It's driving people to the game's individual BGG page. It's making them engage with the rule book. It's making them, read through and get a bit of a deeper understanding of what the game's about, what the game's like. And it doesn't take a lot for somebody to tip from, I am interested in this game enough to enter this competition, to, oh, well, I didn't win it, to, well, actually, there was a lot of interesting stuff in that. I think I might buy it. I think it's a really nice format. It is a pretty expensive thing to do, and you have to organize it way in advance. But yeah, when it's done right, it's really, really pretty good. I've been involved in a couple of them, and I like it as a format.
I mean, we could recreate the formats, of course, using something else like Gleam or something, could we not?
Oh, of course. Yeah. But think about the people who are on BGG who are willing to enter the competitions. For example, you get a badge every time you get a micro badge every time you enter it, and you see people who have just entered, hundreds of them. You move away. The further away you move from that more, let's be polite, intense contest enterer, the more hoops you make somebody try and jump through, the less likely they are to engage. So your general public will at most go for a retweet or a "I'm following you" thing for an entry, because they think it's highly unlikely that they will win. So a lot of the time, what's the point?
Yeah, we went with the BGG competition. Well, we were recommended to do that by Two Tomatoes particularly and Frosted Games, and that seemed to be quite good. It's a good format. It's a relatively straightforward format to use, and it does seem to get people involved, which is what you want.
Now, in terms of, sorry, Jess, I'm not letting everyone answer every single question right now. In terms of sharing it with the world and doing potential charity things and trying to spread some goodness. I mean, one thing that occurs to me is that, let's say I gave away, because I still have 100 copies of In a Bind Junior, if I gave them all to this local school who's next door to me, well, that's a rubbish way to do it, because they're probably not going to play it. They probably don't need that many. How can we, A, find the people that will actually use this thing and enjoy it, and B, try to make sure that our game is easy enough to learn and integrate and accessible enough that these people are able to find joy from it? Because it's not just about giving them the thing, it's also about making sure that they can learn the game. What? Jess?
I think that comes down to finding the right audience again, like you say, because maybe the school next door to you isn't the right audience for that. That's a really broad question, because it depends what you're giving away and who the audience is for that's going to get the most benefit. So yes, it's a bit of a broad question, but I think just knowing who it is you're trying to give the game away to, and then thinking about how you can reach them, is the key thing. But I'm basically describing marketing in a really brief way there in general. Because I don't think about who you're trying to reach and then go to them there. Sorry, that feels like a pants answer. I'll jump out.
No, I think that's all right. I mean, I'll jump in on this one again. Because speaking as a former primary school teacher, I could probably tell you. So what's the recommended age on In a Bind Junior?
4+, 4 to 8.
Okay, so let's say you go somewhere in the middle of that, say 6, 7-year-old. So that's what, year 2, I want to say. So you go to the school, you say, I have all of these things. I can't sell them. I would like to give away. So you can sort of like actually suggest to the school to say, or maybe you could have somebody come in, i.e. you, and do a little talk about how, people make games. We have people come in and do talks all the time on different sorts of subjects. So it's like, hi, I'm Bez. I make games, and this is one of the games that I made. Like, if you've got 100 copies of it, that's going to cover your average school's year 2 year group. They're not going to have, there's not going to be a lot of schools that will have like more than 3 or 4 classes in a year group. So, and then it's just like, it's a, special assembly for this group. And then all of a sudden you then go, okay, and by the way, I've got a copy for everybody in the assembly. And you go, yay. And then all the kids cheer and love you forever, because you were that person who came in on that day, got them out of a lesson, and they got a toy. So fantastic.
That's actually a really good way to do it. And I love the comments. Alex is suggesting a high amounts of work to do might be to get someone to write a 10,000 words novella set in the game world, and also paint an oil painting that can be used in the cover. A good amount of impasto. And Dutch Yoda says, regarding BGG groups, competitions, there are definitely groups that share answers to BGG competitions, and that's why you need randomized questions. And Alex mentions, yeah, go with what Michael said, and then you get a whole room full of brand ambassadors.
Then you get the weird thing, and like you're walking down the street, and all of a sudden a 7-year-old runs up to you and goes, "Hi," and you're like going, "Who are you? Why are you talking to me?" But it's fun. Good adventures in your days.
So, Alan, you mentioned just having fun with all of this, and how can we maintain the joy of giving stuff away?
How can we maintain the joy? Well, just keep doing it. I think learn from experience and keep doing what we do, especially in 2020. If we can give away stuff in 2020 somehow, send it out in the post, I reckon. It's a difficult one now, and I think what we probably all need to do actually is get ready for when we can actually go out to places like Expo and Spiel and whatever, and have all our plans ready and do it, because it may happen suddenly or it may happen not so suddenly. You never know. But I think just keep doing it. I think we all will, though, because the group here, we naturally do this kind of thing, don't we? Really.
Hmm.
My problem that I'm having at the moment is how to do this marketing stuff in lockdown when most of our marketing previously has been face to face, almost all of it. And it's a challenge. Keep doing what we do, folks.
Yep, I loved that, and that's a really nice way to finish up. We have, even though we had to rush through the end of it, I feel like we've come to some sort of conclusion, like giving away things is good. And if you're giving away stuff, like target who you're doing it in a targeted way, says Jess. And we talked about streaming and organization and pretty shirts and breaking the cheese mold and bees and butterflies and trying new things. And maybe having FOMO from promo cards and how to afford all this stuff, and about hidden costs and reviewers, and about the love languages, which... do you know all the love languages, Jess? I know there's words, touch, gifts.
Yeah, there's touch, acts of service, quality time, gift giving, and another one.
Anyway, so like it's a way of showing love.
Words of affirmation. Words of affirmation. Words of affirmation. So saying, hey, Bez, thanks for your time. I value you.
I value you too, Jess, and you, Michael, and you, Alan, and everyone watching. And we talked about having pride in what you're doing and getting more coverage as a professional. That's something that's, financially you might want to have more coverage, leads to more sales. Making sure that reviewers, it's not just about the person with the highest viewership, but also the people who give it the care and attention, about competitions, maybe having personal relationships with people like Alan did with David Brain, having some sorts of investments, which that level of investment is dependent on the audience and determine the audience and all that stuff. Again, we've talked about so much, and I want to say thank you to everyone who's been watching. I have been Bez. You can follow all my links at the bottom. And yes, hello, Ken. Ken just popped in. And Matthew says, it was really nice to see you. I've actually been interviewed and streamed with everyone here.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. And Yep.
Thanks, Matt.
Thank you, everyone. And I want to say, over to you. What are you up to? You can share anything you want to. And starting with the people on stream, I will start in a semi-arbitrary order. Michael. Sorry.
Now people can't see. There you go. This is a thing that's happening in 34 minutes. Michael,
what is it?
I am doing a 2-day game jam over on my channel. So basically, it's more of an excuse for people to just hang out because, like we've said, this has been a crappy year, and this is generally a bit of a weird week for a lot of people. So we're doing a 2-day extravaganza of today is going to be designing something from scratch, and people can get together in groups and do what they want to do or design a solo. And then tomorrow is going to be the playing everything day. And I will do some sort of little giveaway thing as well. I'm just going to buy a game for whoever I think did the best game. So cool. So yeah, that's over on. Hang on, mirrored. Move the other way.
You got it. Yeah.
Yeah. Please dash out, Michael. Come over and see and check out our beautiful, beautiful emotes.
Muffled sounds of jam. I'm not sure what jam sounds like, but I think it's fairly quiet actually.
Yeah, pretty much. It's very sort of like gloopy.
Yeah.
And Alan, what are you up to?
What am I doing? Well, what I will be doing tomorrow is Story 3: The Strange Object.
Ooh.
This is a game designed by Dave Neal for 2 to 4 year olds, or 2 to 6 year olds, I think it is. And I will be playtesting this with my granddaughter, Beth, who is great. She's already done stories 1 and 2 several times. So story 3, we should easily find out what the strange object is.
Nice.
I'll let you know how it goes.
And Jess.
Yes, I'm doing stuff and things. So Reindeer Games is what? Do you know I'm a professional intro there? If you go to meetmaxgames.com/reindeer games, which is linked just below there, you can still get your copy of Reindeer Games, which is a really fun little reindeer Christmassy themed game that will be available into the new year for free. So you can play it on New Year's Eve if you're looking to do something remote. So that's really nice. So I am still working on that and making sure people can get their hands on that. So if you sign up there, I will send you a free copy of the game. And that's the main thing I'm doing. The Discord link doesn't work. Thank you for telling me that. I will update that.
Yeah, you have different settings that you do when you generate your Discord link. You might have to make it so it never expires.
That might be the old link. If you sign up, there's a tick box to say, I would like to join the Discord channel as part of it anyway. So if you sign up and tick that box, I'll send you the link as part of that anyway.
And I am going to share a couple of my links because I know that most folk already know my Twitch. I stream every day at 10 a.m. I'm going to be doing some chaotic shenanigans tomorrow and the day after and the day after that and the day after that. And then reviewing stuff on Sunday. Friendly Friday forum. Everyone is allowed on camera. You don't need to tell me beforehand. I just literally shared a link to the StreamYard on Fridays. So literally anyone who's in the comments can just jump on if they fancy coming on screen for even 5 minutes. You don't need to stay for the whole thing. But yeah, if you haven't already, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and please click on the Discord redirect, which will take you to the Discord in case you've not already gone there. But what else are we up to? Well, we have to stop and let Michael go off and do something, which there's some sort of idol con, isn't there? Like some sort of game jamminess.
Yeah.
Is it a jammy thing?
There will be no jam involved. Not today, anyway. Unless somebody like designs something specifically that involves jam. Yeah, I need lunch first. I've got to take a buttload of painkillers. I'm going to be sat in this chair for the next, like, I've already been sat here for 2 hours. I'm going to be sat in it for another 6.5. So it's like, okay, let's take some drugs, kids.
Okay. Let me I'm sorry for running over. Thank you, Robert, for subscribing. It is all appreciated. And for now, the only thing left to do that I'm going to do right now is to say bye, 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 bye. This is the goodbye song. Bye, 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 bye. Thank you for watching along. Bye, 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 bye. This is the end of the show. Bye, 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 bye. And now it's time to go. Bye, 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 bye. This is a goodbye song. Bye, 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 bye. Thank you for watching along. Bye, 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 bye. This is the end of the show. Bye, 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 bye. And now it's time to go. Bye-bye, everyone.